Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today my team's got set up Patrick Bet-David. I freaking love Patrick Bet-David. I love valuetainment. I love what he stands for. So I'm really excited for these videos. It looks like he's already got Neil deGrasse. I don't even know how to say his name. Neil Tyson deGrasse up here. I'm really excited to see what PBD has on his podcast.
Students who get straight A's do so not because of good teachers, but in spite of bad teachers. And what that means is, if you get straight A's, that meant you got straight A's even when you had bad teachers. That's what straight A's means. So the quality of the teacher was irrelevant to your performance. So you're an independent learner at that point. Then there are people who get bad grades everywhere. So good teachers didn't make any difference to them. So they're bad students. But for most people, a good teacher enables them to do better, and a bad teacher they don't do as well. That's for most people. And so all I'm saying is we need good teachers, and bad teachers, there should be a way to filter them out.
I totally agree. Let's get rid of the bad teachers. You know my thoughts already on the entire public education system. I think it's horse crap. I think it's a conditioning tool. But I do think that there are some really great teachers there that want to see people do really, really, really well. Me, despite or in his words, in spite of bad teachers or good teachers, I graduated with a 3.94 GPA. And I had some crappy freaking teachers. In fact, I hate the school system because it's 100% proof it does not dictate your future. It can condition you. But I agree, we need to get rid of bad teachers. In fact, we need to redo the entire education system. If we could get a bunch of really, really great people that cared about growing people without putting their agenda on them, without trying to condition a specific way of uniformity for the future, that's what I think we should be doing.
The Walmarts of the world can afford $15 an hour. The Amazon and the Targets of the world can afford $15 an hour. The small little shop in Kansas, who's been there for 42 years, business was passed down from mom and dad to them, they can't afford to go to $15 an hour. Right across the street, there's a Walmart, opens up, okay? Kids out of high school whose someone's son comes and starts working for you. Now that guy's father says, listen, instead of working for Joey's little market that he has, go to Walmart right across the street. Joey only pays $11 an hour. Such and such pays $15 an hour. Go to them. You lose. You're going to take a hit. So again, one side, capitalism works. Market dictates wages. Government getting involved doesn't work. And if you do force people to pay a higher minimum wage, the small business owners that produce 49% of all the jobs in America take a massive hit.
I completely agree. In fact, I think capitalism hasn't fully existed in the United States since the Federal Reserve because it manipulates the rates, it manipulates how much money is printed, it manipulates how the flow of where money gets to go or doesn't go. And along the way, when you start to get a big player like Walmart, 100% people are going to go work at Walmart if it's $15 an hour versus $11 an hour, which puts the small business owner at a disadvantage. And you can see it today from inside of the auto industry to the airplane travel industry to big businesses. And banking. It's put the majority out of business, and it's gone to a few handful of major conglomerates that own a lot of these businesses, and it makes it really hard for the small business owner from 40, 50 years. Completely agree with this. I think the government should really stay out of manipulating and regulating and dictating how capitalism should be.
Okay, say you have your kid and your 9-year-old kid comes to my house and we're hanging out. And your son, you're like, hey, Pat, I want my son to get closer to you because I want him to be a better business guy. And I say, hey, Junior, yeah, what's up? Do you know how boys have sex with boys? You're like, I don't want to say anything because Pat's got a high ESG score. You're going to be like, Pat, I'm sorry. What are you doing, bro? Look, I'm teaching the guy he has to know his options. Maybe he's gay. What are you getting upset about? You're going to say, dude, can I ask you a question? What's that? Talk to him about business all you want. Unless if I tell you to straighten out my kids and talk about this topic because I gave you the permission, don't ever talk about that with my kids ever again. Made me very uncomfortable. He's right. We should not debate that topic. It's between the father and his kid. He gives me permission of what to talk to his kid about.
I completely agree, and I see what point he's talking about because we recently, inside of my daughter's school district, had the Bible removed from the school. However, we leave the Torah and the Quran, which I respect all ancient scriptures. But what's happening today is that the system is trying to create these options, and it's really confusing for a child that's 10 years old when they are told, did you know girls can have sex with girls or boys can have sex with boys? Look, the reality is a homosexual is going to be a homosexual, and I love and respect them for that. But not everyone is going to be, and that's okay too. In fact, the majority of people are going to have a core masculine or core feminine energy, and they're going to have a heterosexual relationship, which is really wild when it gets to the world of gender confusion and chaos like we're seeing today. In every great civilization, for whatever reason, they become obsessed with gender, and that becomes the downfall of big empires, which I believe we're seeing today inside of the United States of America and even the Western world. Because you see the new rising empires, they're very clear on what is taught to their children when it comes to heterosexual and homosexual. Now, I do want to say, because I have very, very, very great friends of mine that are homosexual, and I have business partners of mine that are homosexual, and they're amazing people. This is not to say that we cannot accept them. We absolutely should, because they are great human beings, and they add a ton of value into what we do as a society. What we're simply saying is that we cannot be programming people to be a specific way that is not the way that we want our children to create these choices. If you want to raise your children that way, that's absolutely your choice, and you should do that. And if you don't want to raise your children that way, it's absolutely your choice as well. This is what it boils down to. Whose choice is it to program and condition your children a specific way? Is it yours? Or is it the government's? Or is it the school system? Or is it the church? It's ultimately up to you, and you got to make those choices. But in this world, the way we're going, you're going to have to be really selective of where your children hang out, because they're going to be conditioned. They're going to be modeling their peers. They're going to be modeling what's okay where they spend most of their time. You become what you think about most of the time. And if you're in an environment where that's talked about and it's acceptable, that's going to become very, very normal for you. Now, this is a very touchy subject because I think so many people think when you have this perspective that you're saying that homosexual people don't deserve equality. They absolutely freaking deserve equality. In fact, we all deserve equality. What society doesn't deserve is confusion, and there's a difference between acceptance and approval. I accept my homosexual friends. I don't approve of that for me in my life and for my children. Now, if my child decided for her as she grows up that she chooses to be a homosexual and a lesbian, it's not my choice. It's her choice. It's her own life. And I will still accept her for who she is, and I will love her, and I will not approve of it for myself. That doesn't mean that we get to tell people how to live their lives. I think that's the biggest challenge that we're seeing. And this is such an igniting topic today. It's causing a lot of polarity. And I hope that people can get on the same page and understand we're all about accepting each other. And you get to choose to prove what you do with your life or how your children are conditioned until they become an adult that gets to make choices themselves.
Are you a fan of debate?
No,
Tell me why.
because debate implies that the person who wins a debate is often the person who is more charismatic or is a better communicator.
Wow.
That typically happens, especially in politics. And if it's a pure matter of opinion, then a person should just simply have their opinion. If it's a matter of objective truths, there should be no debate about it at all. It's not about debate. It's here's the evidence. Now let's make the decision. So for me, debating is all about grandstanding an idea rather than arriving at an actual solution.
I agree and disagree with Neil Tyson deGrasse in the fact that we shouldn't have debates because the charismatic person wins. I agree that charismatic person wins. The ability to persuade and influence others and get them into action and get them to see a vision and an idea, that's what makes incredible leaders. So I completely agree with that. But to say that if we should just go off of the facts and we can make a solution off of that, Look, gang, you saw what that happened in 2022 when they were saying you got to stay home or you got to get this or you got to, and I don't want to say it on YouTube because I don't know if they're still censoring it, but you know what I'm talking about, right? And the reality is that there were facts and data put out there, but it was manipulated, and the people that were evaluating it, what was actually facts about it, wasn't actually given back to the public. So we can't just go based off of facts because you can manipulate the facts based on your opinion. So I agree with him in the sense that, yeah, to win a debate, you got to be charismatic. To be influential, you got to be charismatic. I completely agree. That's a good guy with that, just someone with charisma. I completely disagree with the fact of having debates. Without debate, we don't have a conversation. We can't see other people's side. We can't see other people's angle of reviewing the data. Let's take the Bible, for example. Two people can read the Bible, and two people have completely different interpretations of it. One person can see it as a terrible, horrible, pornographic, disgusting book, while the other sees it as the Word of God. And two people with different perceptions read that. So just because you have the data, I don't think that's a really good way to do it. How is the data being interpreted? And it's all going to be based on values and beliefs. And the reality is, I think that that's a very big mistake. I don't always agree with Neil Tyson deGrasse. I actually think that he's got a lot of great things. I think says a lot of dumb things too.
I talked to Eli. I said, Eli, how can I help you? He says, Patrick, you can't really help me in any way but one way. I said, what is it? I said, my son's in prison for 9 years. So he says, none of my friends and relatives want to go visit this guy. His friends won't want to go there. I said, I'll go. He says, you sure? I said, absolutely. He says, but this is not a regular process. Do background check, whatever. They got my background. It took 30 days. I go to prison. I'm sitting there all day with them in there. So I come back. Eli's emotional. He's like, I can't believe you just did that for me. I said, buddy, what do you mean I did that for you? It's your son. He says, how can I help you? I said, I don't know. He says, here's the 600 most influential name I know. You can use my name to call them to help you out with whatever you want. I said, you're serious? He said, yes. It's okay. I came back. I called them. One of the contacts introduced me to another person, who introduced me to another person, who introduced me to another person, who introduced me to another person, made me $30 million.
I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away from Patrick Bet-David is that do the right thing regardless of what people are saying is the right thing. Intuitively, we know we have a compass, a moral compass to serve and to contribute and to add value to other people's lives. And Patrick went there, from what I hear, just because he really respected Eli. He wanted to show that he supports Eli. He has Eli's back. He didn't go into it because of what he could get from it. He went into it because of who he could serve, who he could give. And I think the moral of the story is the more you give, the more you contribute, naturally you'll receive more. On one caveat, if you go in to give just to give without an expectation of receiving, and then down the road, you just don't know how it's going to affect you in the positive, but it ultimately will. And in this case, 30 million smackers. Hey, heck, I'd go to prison too for that, for some 30 million smackers. But it doesn't happen just because I'm going to do this in return for the 30 million. It's because I'm going to do this because I got Eli's back. That's what I took away from Patrick Bet-David. I love this guy.
You want to know real quickly how big somebody thinks? Let them win something. Let them get a big check. Let them get a big victory. You're going to learn about them very quickly.
Yeah.
If a person gets a $100,000 check in sales, if somebody who's never made $50K in a month, they made $50K in a month, you'll learn exactly what happens next 90 days. If they slow down, it was all about the money. You want to know real quickly.
Interesting. So one of the things I was talking with Mickey, who got these videos set up ahead of time, is I don't ever compare myself that I should be further along in the journey. One of the fears that I have in my head from time to time is, can I go further? Because every time there's growth, there's going to be turbulence. There's going to be my plan, and then there's the plan. And when it's the plan versus my plan is when my beliefs get challenged. It's when I question my ability to keep going. And this is what I hear him talking about. Because when you hit a new level, what's called a threshold of control, I can either go back and I can retreat to the comfort zone. It was all about the money, like he was talking about. It was comfortable when I wasn't doing the work. And so that's what happens. And then the money stops 90 days later. But once that person hits that 50K, can they go to that next thing? Can they go from the 100K to the million? And we're using dollars here because that's a tool to measure. But this is the same in your relationship, in your health, in your happiness, where you live. the place you spend your most time, how you contribute and serve through philanthropy, everything has a threshold of control. And are you doing it for the result, or are you doing it on who you become on the journey? And every step of the way, when you're moving, you're progressing, you will hit a new tunnel. Something that is the plan and not your plan, and you get to choose how you show up in that, because your kingdom is found in the tunnel. Your kingdom is found when it's not going how you think it should. It gets you a chance to become who you get to become, if you make a choice to continue to expand regardless of the threshold. Thanks for watching today. I really love Patrick Bet-David. I think one of the things I like about him the most is that he is a voice for people that he believes in and connects with on a moral compass, regardless of what everyone else is judging him about. And I think also he does it in such a way that is very respectful in what his beliefs are, his values are. He takes a stand for it, for positive of humanity and serving other people. So I really appreciate Patrick Bet-David. I love to follow him. I love to learn from him. I would love to hear what you think in the comments down below. I want to read that. Smash the like button. Share this to other people, because Patrick Bet-David has some really cool stuff, and I'd love them to hear this as well. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Look, I want to say thanks for watching my video. And I know that this isn't for everyone, but it is for certain people that are ready to make big changes. Like, they're ready to create residual revenue. They're ready to become real business owners. They're ready to have a business that makes money even when they're not working. And if that's you, I want you to click the link down in the description, and I want to give you an opportunity to have what's called a triage discovery call. We're going to meet with my head coach and learn where you're stuck in your business and what changes you got to make so that you don't have to work to make money. And I want to say again, I know that sounds crazy, but imagine you took time off and you still made money. That doesn't mean you don't have a business to grow. You absolutely do. But I'm going to teach you how to grow a business that makes money even when you're not there working. So click the link down below, get your free consultation with my team, and let's really discover where you're at and how you can create it. We'll see you there.